Welcome to Community Conversations. I'm your host, John Tansey. Here we are today in the Windsor On Air studio. This is a great resource for the community, and 25 years ago, it was first started by my guest, Kate Williams.
Hey,
Welcome
John.
to the show, Kate.
Thank you for having me, John.
Does this look familiar to you?
It does. Yeah, we spent every Saturday for a year, and you just downplayed it, but you were there building this space, and I haven't been back since.
Wow. Maybe I'd like to learn more about you, and I'm sure the community would, but tell us about those earliest days and who was involved in getting the studio off the ground, the station, I should say.
To start, I guess you have to start somewhere in the late 80s, early 90s. The Vermont Public Utilities Commission, I looked it up because I couldn't remember the name, enacted Rule 8, which was a set of guidelines where if you were going to have a cable company broadcast in the state of Vermont, you had to follow these rules. And one of those rules was a percentage of your profits as the cable company would have to go towards public education and governmental local programming. A la Sinclair, everything was getting eaten up, and this was our way of sort of keeping local news local. And so every station had to start as a nonprofit, and the bigger towns had done it first within the 90s, and I think Hartford has a really big station, and Frank Lather used to go over there and do some sort of video editing, and he was cranky because Windsor didn't have a station, and he was cranky to Rudy Hanachek, who, as anybody knows, is going to solve the problem. He's going to see it from beginning to end. And so between Frank and Rudy and Larry Bowser and Jeff Wrench, there's quite a few of them. They all came together, and Eileen Beatty, Krisha Rodriguez was in that early group. They formed a committee. Rudy did all of the paperwork for the 501c3, and it was still going on after I was hired, and every time they would come back with questions, and he would write page-long answers for it was amazing. It was amazing watching how hard it is to set up a nonprofit, and B, how valuable it is to have somebody like Rudy in your corner.
Yeah.
And so, sorry.
So we had to be a contract with the provider, which now it's Comcast. Was it always Comcast?
It was Adelphia at the time.
Oh, that's right, Adelphia. And then you needed some equipment and space.
We did. Well, the interesting thing is, the great thing was that percentage of everyone's cable bill was retroactive of 1991. Wow. So not only was I hired, I was then given $150,000, which was which was silly. But it was set up for space in the town hall, which at the time was on Main Street. It was in the bowels of the building, and the firefighters' activity room, it had been cut in half. So, and a wall had been put up, and half of it was now the firemen's activity space, and half was now Windsor On Air. And so when I moved in, the firefighters it took a bit to win them over. They weren't super psyched about the whole thing. And that would have been a space, maybe half this square footage. And then within 6 months, the building was condemned. And so we had to get out. My mother's law office just happened to be next door. And she was kind enough to give us space on the second floor. And so for the next 3.5 years, practically, we shot out of Windsor On Air, or out of my mom's law office.
Wow,
the
3.5 years. It seems longer than that. I remember we were doing the TNT show up there.
You were doing the TNT show up there. Yeah, we did a lot of shows up there. It was great. And then we spent a year building this space in that 3.5 years. And then right at the end, we moved in. The day we moved in was my last day at Windsor On Air.
Wow. It was your last day. I didn't realize that. And I remember when we were getting this space ready, there's something to do with a fire escape outside in the building. Do you remember that?
I do.
We had to pay for that, I think, or in lieu of rent or so forth. There was kind of a convoluted relationship in terms of getting the space here.
You want to talk the fire escape? One of my favorite things about this job was the people that I got to meet. And one of the very first people in the bowels of the town hall that I met was a man named David Earl, who had some video of his vacation that he needed cut down. And we became friends. And he was an architect down the road. And he designed, we were told that we were going to need, when this building was retrofitted, a fire escape. And the owners of the building, who at the time was Mount Scottney Hospital, said we couldn't move in unless we paid for this fire escape. And so David Earl designed the whole thing for free. Everything about this studio was built by people giving, and David Earl was one of the first ones. But so it was only a $14,000 fire escape because we didn't have to design it. And so we made a deal with this building, I believe, that, okay, we would pay out of my $150,000, 14 for the fire escape, and then no rent for 10 years. And I don't know if that happened, because I was only
I think there was a period of time, yeah. And so just, again, you mentioned many names are involved then. Some others I remember from that time were Paul Feeney, Hal Pike, of course, Dave.
Dave Tabb. Who else? Jeff French was
Roberto Rodriguez was involved at some point. I know
Krisha was.
Yeah. Jeff is still involved. Jeff's still on the board.
Jeff's still on the board. I giggle every time I see his name. I'm like, go for it, Jeff. Jeff French, wherever you are. Thanks. Thank you so much, dude.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Wow. We suckered you in just by telling you it was super easy. All you had to do was sign checks.
That was about 10, 15 years. That I can't remember.
Yeah, you held that one against me for a while. Every Saturday.
Any other highlights from that time? What were like, I mean, we recently just saw this Challenges and Change video, Windsor On Air re-aired.
Yeah.
That I think came through a grant. That was really a nice kind of reflective piece about the community at the time.
Yeah. That was a great video. That was towards the end of my tenure. We got to interview kids and adults, and we set up a bunch of questions. We received some money, and you guys were nice enough to give me $1,000 out of the chunk of money that we got, and I trekked around Europe all by myself for a couple of weeks. So thank you. That was my first trip, maybe on an airplane, second trip on an airplane. So that's what I remember about that video. But it was interesting, that video, I haven't seen it in 25 years until 3 weeks ago. One of the kids that was in the video texted me and asked if he could come over for coffee. And he and I and my nephew sat on my porch and we drank coffee and we talked about that time and how special it was, I think, for everybody involved. And he showed me the video. It wasn't on YouTube, but it was on something else. And it was the first time I had seen it in 25 years, and it was very sweet.
I saw myself in there, and I was thinking, that can't be me.
Right.
But my kids and family got a kick out of it, for sure.
Awesome. So did Mom. She told me all about it, that it was on. It was out there.
Well, I think, the station has served, the community really well, the communities, because it's more than just Windsor. To bring, board meetings to the public and things like that. But it's also a great source of recording kind of oral video history. And that show, that video was a classic example of, being able to step back in time and saying, what was Windsor like 25 years ago? What were we thinking about?
Mr. Allen used to record the basketball games, and they're still on the air. And he just passed, and
I know,
if we're going to talk mentors later, we're going to talk Mr. Allen.
Sure.
But the genius of Mr. Allen was, at first he recorded the entire audience in the videos. He spent a lot of times, if you watch them, and then it breaks. And I think now, looking at the videos, I mean, the basketball games themselves are great, but it's seeing that capsule in time and seeing people on TV.
Yeah, I'll have to look for that. Well, how did you said you were 21 earlier when you became the station director. So how did you come to be the station director? I know you have roots here in Windsor, the Windsor area.
Okay.
Maybe tell us about kind of what led you up to that role.
So graduated from Windsor High School in 1996, and then went to Syracuse, majored in television, radio, and film. Graduated in May. Had solid plans to, at the end of the summer, I was going to come home and not do anything. And then in the fall, Syracuse has a major networking out in LA, and I was headed there to room with some friends, internship at ABC. I was headed. I would have been a great casting director or location scout. That was the plan. And then one day I get a call on my mother's home phone from Rudy Hanachek that changes the course of everything. He tells me, we're starting a studio, want you to run it, get me your resume. My resume included, I worked at a coffee shop and for the Windsor Town Highway Department for a summer. Like, I'm like, it was silly. It was a silly thought. Like, I'm 21 years, I'm a child. What are you talking about? So I gave my resume and I got an interview because he was on the board, on the hiring committee. And I sat next, and I went to a room upstairs in the town hall with Krisha and Eileen Beatty, and Rudy was in that meeting, or maybe he was, I don't know if Rudy was in that meeting. Larry Bowser, maybe. And I sort of blew it off. I was like, this will be good experience for LA for what I'm going to do. I wore corduroy pants, maybe a tie-dye shirt and a hemp necklace. And I bombed that interview. I bombed it. I left and I was like, it was awful. It's awful. It's like, good thing I was headed out. That's embarrassing. And then a couple days later, I get another call from Rudy. And he says, okay, so that didn't go great. But I got you in for a second interview. And I was like, what are you talking about, Rudy? And he goes, but here's the thing. Here are the questions we are going to ask you. And here are the answers we are looking for. And so I studied, and I answered the way I was supposed to answer, and I got the job. I asked Rudy later why he did that. Because even though I had gone to school with Rudy, I'd never met him. We'd never spoken. He knew nothing about me except that I graduated college. And his answer was, because you're Windsor. And I've always held on to, I am Windsor. And it's not about geography, because some of the people that I know who exemplify that the most are people who have moved here. Mark and Heather Prebish. Some of my favorite people are Windsor. So I got the job because Rudy Hanachek cheated. And I can tell that story now.
Well, he guided you.
He guided me.
Rudy did a lot that people weren't aware of behind the scenes, and he was out in front a lot. But on that Windsor thing, I'll just tell a quick story. When I lived overseas for 5 years, worked, and my Leah and Shane, our two youngest were with us, and like first, second grade, and third grade times, and somebody would say, "Where are you from?" And then we're in another country, and they would say Windsor. And because
they are Windsor.
They were Windsor, just like you. So.
Yep.
So who are some of your mentors?
Mentors
people that kind of shaped your life early on, or even more recently.
Sure. So it's interesting how we're all connected. I mentioned Frank Lather, who was the start of Windsor On Air. His wife Sally was my third grade teacher, and she was, if I list my mentors, she was my first teacher who was inspiring. And I loved her class. And third grade was amazing because I met my best friend, who is still my best friend to this day. I had the most amazing teacher. And I started basketball with Mr. Barth. And I can't not call Mr. Barth one of my most solid mentors as a basketball coach. This man left the New England State team that won.
His team won the Vermont State Championship, Windsor in class of 78, or in 78. But I forget the year, but yeah, won the Vermont State Championship, went and played Nashua, New Hampshire
Right.
in the New England tournament and beat them.
And beat them.
And then the next night they had to play again, the run and gun, and lost to Coney, Maine. Coney, Maine.
Okay.
But it was just, I think, one of the most incredible Vermont sports stories.
Right.
Yeah.
And Mr. Barth was at the helm of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then when we were in third grade, he just decided to. So I think third grade was a pivotal year for me. I got electricity at the house, which was interesting, and basketball started and love of learning and all of that. So Mr. Barth is definitely, Mrs. Lather, Mr. Rode.
Yeah.
I loved Mr. Rode for his humor. He was an amazing teacher.
He did a lot in the community also. We did student council and then just every volunteer effort. You'd see him at top 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm fortunate to have Mr. Rode and Mr. Barth as a coach and a teacher. So, I think we both benefit from many people that have been really dedicated to the community over a long time.
One of my favorite things about being Windsor, and this is a perfect example for you, you have more than one name. You are Shane's dad.
Mm-hmm.
You're Gloria's kid. You're Coach Tansey.
Mm.
I mean, we're all connected. Nita's husband,
I'm probably more famous for that
For
than
that one,
anything
is
else,
that the one you get the most?
Because she knows way more people than I do.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
But these are the reasons I enjoy Windsor, and the reason I got the job was 100% because I was Windsor.
So we're talking about community. What does community mean to you, and why is it important?
It depends on the time in your life. It wasn't all that important to me in my 20s.
Maybe you weren't as aware of it. It was all around you.
Sure. I still had that thought that I was leaving.
Mm-hmm.
And so after 4 years, once I knew the studio was up and built, I left and moved to Colorado and really found a sense of peace, my people, it was an excellent thing to do, but I always knew I was coming back to Windsor to raise my children because this is an amazing town to raise children in.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I watched us vote $40,000 to create a rec center when in my head I thought there's no way this town is going to support this, especially after we just spent however many million on a new school, and they did it. Every time this town shows up for its kids, hugely, and my kid gets to experience that.
Yeah.
And that's why I love Windsor.
You've done other things in Windsor. I mean, you certainly Windsor On Air, but I remember you were, for a while, the town moderator.
Yeah. That got me out of having to have an opinion. I only had to work one day a week, or one day a year.
One day a year?
Yeah, except it was always in a snowstorm, because it's the end of
Seems like
February, beginning of March. What have I done to volunteer? 802 Credit Union. I am on the supervisory board. I don't know. It's hard. Right now I'm sort of a kid, but it will be my turn once Finn graduates to do select board.
Well, that'd be great to see you there, and obviously it's being a parent and dedicated to the development of your child is important,
Right.
and so that's
Right. So yeah, I assume it's everybody's civic responsibility to do their part on the board and get beat up. I mean, I don't think I'd be president of both the select board and the school board at the same time. That's just showing off.
yeah, or not knowing what's good for you.
All you got to do is sign checks. That's it.
Yeah. Well,
But I think I think I would do that after. Oh, and I am still school moderator. I got suckered back in.
Oh, good.
Their meetings are far shorter than the town's, which is odd to me.
Yeah.
It's half of your tax bill
Or more, right?
or more.
What, thinking about the town, what are some things that were here, or maybe people that, are not anymore? That buildings come and go, or businesses, or, we've had some And I'm going to ask you that also about kind of what's here now that wasn't, that's new. But so
You know what? You know who I'm sad that the kids didn't get to meet? Doobie. Larry
Nowlin.
Larry Nowlin, the
Yeah.
sculptor.
Yeah.
He came to town as a, I don't know, as
He was an artist in resident at St. Gaudens.
Correct.
And that's how he connected to the area.
yeah,
And then stayed.
and then stayed.
Yeah.
And he was a bright, shining part. And
Absolutely.
It was very sad. He went for a run, and I think
passed away
and
on
he
it.
passed away, and it was remarkably sad. But we won't talk sad stuff. What do I remember? Friends and Company, penny candy. I remember a lot of that. I didn't spend much time in town because I was a dirty kid in the woods,
Living up on the hill.
living up on the hill,
Yeah.
running around, swimming in the brook, riding my bike on Brook Road. I remember Brook Road. You want to
Yeah,
talk about
that's-
how fun Brook Road
Yeah,
was?
I miss Brook
I
Road.
miss Brook Road.
You played basketball as growing up, right? You had some good teams.
We had a great team. Yeah, we started in 3rd grade, and most of the girls continued. We were terrible the first year, first 2 years. Heartland had our number. Kristen Barth had our number. And then one day in like 5th grade, it just clicked, and we just kept playing and winning. It was it was great. We ended up going in high school in 94 and 2. We lost one state championship game and one tournament in Nashua, New Hampshire, or somewhere. Brockton, Mass beat us.
Was that at UNH?
It might have been.
Yeah, that's where the New England boys tournament was when we went down. I think it was
Okay.
Nashua.
It was huge for us. The first year, we did it the first year, and it was us and Pinkerton Academy, Brockton, and some other huge school. And everybody laughed at us. They had no idea who we were. And then we won it.
Yeah.
And so the second year, they knew to.
They were
They
waiting.
were paying attention.
They were waiting for you. Yeah.
Mm.
And what are some more recent developments, I guess I would ask, that you see in town that are positive and
My favorite is the fact that we are a bedroom community, and I think that we have lots of new people moving in, and I really like meeting new people. I think the whole sauce, the soup of Windsor, is changing in I think we're proud of ourselves a little bit more than we were. I think, I don't know. I think we support our businesses well. I wish we had a Chamber of Commerce, but
yeah, that was another Rudy Hanachek.
yeah, but that was another Rudy
love of
Hanachek
his
thing.
life.
Heritage
Yeah.
Days. Somebody was mentioning, oh, I wish we had Heritage Days.
Rudy.
I wish we had Rudy Hanachek.
Then the what was it? The museum, the Cornish Colony Museum. Rudy was a big part of
loved it.
helping that
Beautiful.
happen too.
Yep.
Up in the upstairs of where your old studio was,
Right.
in the old town hall building.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I miss Rudy a lot. He is in the DNA of everything that is Windsor On Air, for sure.
So have you, would you, now that you're back in Windsor On Air on screen, any ideas for some productions that you might be interested in doing in the future?
No.
No?
No, being in front of the camera is not really my world.
Oh, really?
Really.
Yeah.
I do it when people make me read, because as a kid,
Yeah.
I had no electricity and I had to read, so I can read good. But no, I support Windsor On Air every chance I get from a distance. It's not my studio anymore. It's not my, this was my baby.
And you've moved on.
I was like a foster. I
Yeah.
was Windsor On Air's foster.
Yeah, and it's been great hands with Paula.
It's been an amazing hands, Paula. I'm so proud of you.
Yeah, it's so important for the community.
It has done great. I think everybody's still really proud of it.
Yeah, and to encourage people to think about how they might be able to produce shows or do things, or have, if there are events that they want covered, to let Windsor On Air know.
And it's so easy now. You can do it on your phone, I think.
Yeah.
I love being, on the sidelines of technology now, not having to be on top of it all. But there are lots of ways to produce television for Windsor On Air. And I wholeheartedly would love for another cooking show, another Kelly's Kitchen. Come on, Kelly. Come on, Kelly Willie. You're bored. You want to cook. What else?
Yeah.
Davey. Davey's show. Loved his show.
Saw Davey this morning.
Did
out
you?
in Brownsville, yeah. It's always good to see him.
It's always good to see Davey. He was another great contributor. Bob Walsh.
Bob Walsh,
He's
my old
another-
neighbor.
Yeah.
He had
was
a nice
amazing.
show. It was Windsor People.
He
with
had
Bob
Windsor
Walsh.
people.
Yeah.
Yep, he was Windsor. He moved to New York City and had you've had
Yeah.
as many conversations as I did about his fast-paced New York City life.
Mm-hmm.
And then he retired to Windsor and he was bored and found Windsor On Air and he was like, okay,
Yeah.
I'll do this.
Yeah, he would do anything, like Rudy, anything you asked,
Yep.
really.
But, yeah, that was my favorite part, was the people.
So, what do you do for fun? I know I see you at basketball games from time to time, but I mean,
Right.
do you hike the mountain? Do you, what are some other things you do to take advantage of being here?
Of being here.
Or
I was gonna
anywhere.
say I went to Tokyo.
Well, there, you can go
I
to
like to
Tokyo
travel.
too. Yeah.
No, what have I done here? I'm definitely working on my house a lot, so I spend a lot of time. I've got a little baby chainsaw. I spend a lot of time cutting things down or moving
be
them
careful.
around. That's fair. My father taught me.
Mm-hmm.
What do? I ski. I have a wonderful support system of friends in town, both newcomers and people who have known me since I was Kathleen. What do I do in town? I go to meetings.
Yeah.
How fun is that? I don't
It
know.
actually is fun to see people and get out and interact that way.
Yeah, that's how you get suckered into being on 4 committees.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen it. I like to write letters to people. That's not about things in Windsor. I definitely have spent a lot of time recently as a journalism major going through the archives. The state of Vermont allows any Vermonter to sign up and go through the archives and they're searchable by year and by name. And I've been spending a lot of time researching things about Windsor that interest me. Some of the escapes from the prison.
Uh-huh.
I go a little dark. Some of the
Some of the seedier sides of
from
Windsor
some
history.
of the seedier sides of history, there was a.
Do you think you'll write up any of that or collect it at some point that's accessible to more people? Or
When I have time, yes, I would write about some of the things that people don't know about the area. Yeah. There are some interesting stories for sure.
I was at I don't know if it was a library or this historical society, and Windsor On Air filmed it about a murder that took place in town in the 1920s or so. I can't remember. I have to go back and watch it again.
We were
Very interesting.
violent.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were quite a few. Oh, anybody? I would love for the post office to give tours of the post office building, because in the basement, I love old things, and I love asking permission when I shouldn't. But I got a tour of the basement, and there's the old jail cells down there, and the ceiling is all rippled from when it's a bomb shelter. That's our go to the kick
There was
down that
one in
door.
the old school before too, in the old high school.
Was there?
Yeah.
It's a weird shape. And then there's the stairways up. And then if you go up to the second floor of the post office, it's maybe my most favorite, beautiful space in all of Windsor. And it is, unfortunately, there's been water damage and nobody has fixed it up, but it is a absolutely stunning and gorgeous courtroom, federal courtroom. And there's one office in one of the corners that Woodrow Wilson ran the country out of for a summer. It's
pretty amazing, yeah.
If I were to ever get into state or politics, I would push to fix up. I hope that we stop the damage that has already happened in that courtroom. And I hope at some point it becomes important to somebody like the Vermont Law School or somebody to fix up that courtroom, because it is a breathtaking piece of architecture.
I was there years ago, and it's right. I'll have to try to get back up in there just to see it in its current state. Well, you clearly have Windsor at your heart, right?
I do, right?
And that's great. And I think, as you said, the core people that have always been here, and then a really nice and healthy mixing of new people, ideas, and so forth, and something we need. So as half hour is upon us, and this goes so fast, but what are some closing comments, thoughts you would like to share with the viewing audience?
I do have one. But again, it doesn't have to do with Windsor. It has to do with journalism.
That's great. However you.
I want to talk about. I was at the yearbook, the bake sale the other day, and all these kids are there, and I asked them which one are my journalism majors, and they looked at me like that was a crazy thought. The free press right now, it needs journalists. It needs you kids to care about it. The free press was written in our First Amendment of the Constitution, the very first. They looked around and they said, what is the most important thing? Freedom of speech, freedom of religion, a free press, freedom to protest, and freedom to air governances. I looked it up the other day. Free press is in that First Amendment, and it is so important to have a free press because these are your watchdogs over the people in power. These are the people, the free press is the guardians of the disadvantaged, because without a press to show what is happening to the disadvantaged, that it can just
be forgotten or made invisible and so forth.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And at some point we have to stop and care about the freedom of speech and the responsibility with which we have to provide it to the people. And Windsor On Air is an excellent example of a free speech advocate. And I want kids to start caring about words.
We need an informed citizenry. If I can
Exactly.
say
That's
that
another reason why a free press is so important. It's educating the public.
Absolutely.
It's very important. And so that's what I would say. And Windsor, I love you. I am Windsor.
Well, thank you, Kate. It's
So are
always
you.
great to talk to you, and thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you, John.
I'll see you around town.